Have you ever wondered why most people can't handle Sigma males? The answer lies in their defiance of everything society deems normal, a truth captured starkly in the phrase, "Why people can't handle Sigmas." Sigmas don't just reject the rulebook of life, they rewrite it. While others chase validation through social hierarchies or suffocate in the boxes others build for them, Sigma males exist beyond the noise, dissecting the world with a gaze that cuts through illusions. Status games? Hollow. Conformity? A cage. Approval? A trap. Their independence isn't rebellion, it's DNA. What unnerves people is how Sigmas thrive without the systems humanity clings to. They don't hunger for spotlights or applause, they crave mastery over their minds, their purpose, their raw authenticity. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's a storm of calculation. Small talk? A waste of oxygen. Superficial bonds? Soul-sucking. While the world obsesses over followers and facades, Sigmas retreat into solitude, sharpening minds others can't comprehend. This isn't arrogance. It's clarity. Yet this path demands brutal honesty. The Sigma journey begins with alienation, a gnawing sense of being an outsider. They watch peers chase hollow victories and wonder, why does none of this matter? For a time, they mimic the crowd, force smiles, regurgitate small talk, chase society's trophies. But the act crumbles. The mask slips. A quiet voice erupts. Why does conformity feel like suffocation? Why do I crave depth in a shallow world? This awakening isn't gentle, it's a reckoning. Sigmas don't fear isolation, they weaponize it. In solitude, they dissect their doubts, forge unshakable resolve, and discard the need for permission. Society's grip loosens. Expectations dissolve. What remains is a man untethered, free, terrifying, and utterly unpredictable. And that is why people can't handle them. Sigmas expose the fragility of every system, every hierarchy, every unspoken rule. They don't perform, beg, or bend. Their existence is a mirror, forcing others to confront a haunting truth. True power isn't found in crowds, it's forged in the fires of self-mastery. This journey, marked by disillusionment, transformation, and ironclad autonomy, isn't for the timid. It demands losing shallow ties, enduring crushing doubt, and staring into the void of uncertainty. But for those who persist, they emerge as forces of nature, rare, unyielding, sculpted by their own hands. If you're ready to dissect the Sigma psyche, to unravel why society fears them, and to embrace the strength of standing alone, let's begin. Stage 1. The Awakening of Isolation. Picture a man standing at the edge of a bustling crowd, watching as people scramble for attention, their voices blending into a frantic hum of desperation. The Sigma male feels it, a creeping alienation that starts as a whisper and grows into a roar. He doesn't understand why others crave the spotlight, why they twist themselves into knots to belong, or why they trade their souls for a nod of approval. At first, he tries to join them, mimicking their laughter and nodding along, but it's like wearing borrowed clothes that itch and chafe. Inside, a war brews. Am I defective? Why don't I fit? The world feels like a stage he wasn't cast for, and the role of normal is a script he can't read. Then, like a lightning strike, the fog clears. He's not malfunctioning, he's a different breed entirely. This realization flips the script. His disconnect isn't a curse, it's a superpower. He stops fighting his nature and starts embracing it, seeing the crowd's clamor as a distraction from something greater, himself. Isolation becomes his laboratory, a sacred space where he dissects his thoughts, strengthens his resolve, and builds a mind that cuts through illusions like a blade. He's no longer the odd one out, he's the one who dared to step away. Solitude isn't exile, it's elevation, the first brick in the fortress of his identity. From this vantage point, the Sigma male discovers a truth that changes everything. Society's rules don't apply to him. While others chase fleeting acceptance, he hunts something eternal, self-knowledge. Alone, he learns to trust his instincts, to silence the noise, and to wield his uniqueness like a torch in the dark. This awakening isn't just a moment, it's the spark that ignites his entire journey. He's not running from the world, he's rising above it, crafting a version of himself that no one else can touch. In the initial throes of this awakening, the Sigma male often grapples with a profound sense of otherness. He observes the societal dance of conformity and validation seeking with increasing bewilderment. It's not disdain he feels, but a deep disconnect, like trying to decipher a language he was never meant to speak. He might find himself in social settings, attempting to engage, to mirror the behaviors deemed normal, but each interaction leaves him feeling more hollow, more detached. This isn't mere introversion, it's a fundamental misalignment with the values and motivations that drive the majority, leading to an internal friction as he tries to reconcile his authentic self with the expected social persona. This period of isolation, initially perceived as a burden or a flaw, gradually transforms into a source of immense strength and clarity. It's in the quiet spaces, away from the relentless demands of social validation, that the Sigma male begins to hear his own voice, undistorted by external expectations. He starts to understand that his divergence from the norm isn't a deficiency but a unique perspective, a vantage point from which he can observe, analyze, and ultimately navigate the world on his own terms. This self-discovery is not a sudden event but a gradual unfolding, a journey into the depths of his own being where he unearths a resilience and self-reliance that becomes the cornerstone of his identity. Stage 2, the Burning Bridges stage. Imagine the Sigma male as a man carrying a torch through a forest of deadwood, relationships that drain him, faces that demand more than they give. He's been generous with his time, patient with their games, but now he sees the rot, manipulators cloaked as friends, parasites posing as allies. The epiphany lands like a hammer. Why is he feeding energy to those who only take? In one swift, deliberate act, he lights the torch and sets the bridges ablaze. No warnings, no apologies, just the crackle of flames as he walks away from the smoldering wreckage of toxic ties. The fallout is immediate. Some scream betrayal, others fling guilt like arrows, but he doesn't flinch. Their words bounce off him like rain on stone. He's not here to negotiate his peace. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Every bridge burned is a weight lifted, a chain broken, a step toward a life that's his alone. He understands that real growth demands subtraction, not addition, cutting away the leeches to let the roots deepen. They'll call him heartless, but he knows the truth. Preserving himself is the kindest act he can commit. What emerges from the ashes is a man reborn, lighter and fiercer than before. The Sigma male doesn't just survive the fire, he thrives in it. With the clutter gone, his vision sharpens, he sees whose worth is loyalty and who never was. This stage is his declaration of sovereignty. No one gets a seat at his table unless they bring value. The world may gasp at the smoke, but he breathes freer in the silence, ready to build something new on the ground he's cleared. The burning of bridges in a Sigma male's journey is not a chaotic outburst of emotion, but a calculated act of self-preservation. It's born from a deep, introspective analysis of his relationships, where he discerns the energy flows and recognizes the detrimental impact of certain connections. This stage is characterized by an unwavering commitment to personal growth, understanding that some ties, though they may have history or societal expectation behind them, are actively hindering his progress. It's a courageous and often misunderstood phase, as it necessitates walking away from comfort zones and confronting the immediate backlash of those who benefited from the previous imbalance. Furthermore, this phase is crucial for establishing the Sigma male's personal boundaries and reinforcing his self-worth. By decisively removing toxic relationships, he sends a powerful message to himself and the world that his well-being and personal space are non-negotiable. This act of self-assertion is not about seeking vengeance or causing harm, but about creating a fertile ground for genuine, mutually beneficial relationships to flourish in the future. The scorched earth left behind is not a wasteland, but a newly cleared space ready for cultivation, where only relationships built on respect, reciprocity, and genuine connection can take root. Stage 3, the Reverse Hustle Epiphany. The Sigma male once ran the race, head down, fists clenched, chasing the carrot of hard work pays off. He optimized, strategized, worked smarter, but the finish line kept moving. Then, one day, he stops cold. Why is he still shackled to clocks and paychecks? Why is survival a trade of hours for dollars? The epiphany crashes in like a tidal wave. Freedom isn't tweaking the system, it's breaking it. He pivots hard, pouring his energy into machines that hum while he rests, passive streams, clever investments, ideas that multiply without his sweat. This isn't about dodging effort, it's about mastering leverage. While others grind their bones to dust, he builds ladders that climb for him. He studies patterns, cracks codes, and plants seeds that grow into forests of wealth and time. Society worships the hustle, but he sees through its lie. What's the point of winning a game that traps you? He's not lazy, he's a rebel with a blueprint, crafting a life where every minute belongs to him. Burnout becomes a foreign word, replaced by a calm that unnerves the overworked masses. The result is a quiet revolution. The Sigma male steps off the treadmill and into a world of his own design, untethered, unshaken, unstoppable. He works when he wants, not when he must, chasing mastery instead of deadlines. Others see his ease and call it luck, but it's not luck, it's strategy honed in the fire of insight. This stage is his emancipation, where he swaps the yoke of labor for the crown of liberty, proving that true power isn't in the grind, it's in the getaway. The Reverse Hustle Epiphany is a paradigm shift in the Sigma male's understanding of work and productivity. It's a moment of profound realization that the conventional path of relentless effort for incremental gains is not only inefficient but fundamentally misaligned with his desire for autonomy and self-direction. This isn't about shirking responsibility, rather, it's a strategic recalibration of his efforts, moving away from linear, time-bound labor towards exponential growth through smart systems and leveraged assets. He begins to question the societal glorification of business and starts valuing output over input, effectiveness over exertion. This transition involves a deep dive into understanding wealth creation beyond traditional employment. The Sigma male becomes a student of financial intelligence, exploring avenues like investments, scalable businesses, and intellectual property that generate income independent of his direct, hourly involvement. He seeks to build mechanisms that work for him, liberating his time and energy for pursuits that truly resonate with his intrinsic motivations. It's a calculated move away from the rat race, towards a life where work is a tool for empowerment and fulfillment, not a necessity for mere survival, allowing him to experience a level of freedom and control that eludes those trapped in the conventional, hustle mentality. Stage 4, the unlearning phase. The Sigma male grew up swallowing the gospel of grit, work hard, stay the course, obey the rules. It sounded noble until he saw the carnage, lives spent climbing ladders to nowhere, dreams crushed under shoulds and musts. Doubt creeps in like a shadow. Why does persistence feel like punishment? Why does hard work reward the machine more than the man? He starts peeling back the layers, spotting the strings of control woven into every truth he's been fed. This isn't enlightenment yet, it's rebellion, a refusal to march to a drumbeat that isn't his. Unlearning begins with a wrecking ball. He smashes the idol of hustle, trading it for precision. Why exhaust himself when he can strike once and win? He ditches blind loyalty to rules, crafting his own compass that points to what works, not what's expected. Persistence? He laughs and walks away from sinking ships, knowing quitting can be victory. It's a purge of the mind, stripping away decades of conditioning until he's raw, free, and dangerous. Society gasps, he's supposed to conform, not question, but he's already rewriting the playbook. From the rubble rises a new Sigma male, unshackled and electric. He moves like a phantom, untied to the old ways, guided by a logic so sharp it cuts through dogma. This phase is his liberation from the herd's hypnosis, a middle finger to the scriptwriters who thought they owned him. He's not just different now, he's deliberate, an architect of a life that bends to no one. The world can keep its fairy tales, he's writing his own saga, one fearless choice at a time. The unlearning phase is a profound deconstruction of the societal programming the Sigma male has absorbed since childhood. It's a critical examination of the narratives, beliefs, and rules that have been presented as universal truths but are, in reality, often mechanisms of control and conformity. This stage is marked by a growing skepticism towards established norms and a questioning of the why behind everything, from career paths to relationship models. He starts to recognize the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, pressures to fit into predefined boxes and to pursue goals that are not intrinsically his own. This process of unlearning is not merely intellectual, it's deeply experimental and often emotionally challenging. It requires confronting deeply ingrained beliefs and patterns of behavior, dismantling mental frameworks that have provided a sense of security and predictability, even if they were ultimately limiting. The Sigma male undertakes a rigorous mental and emotional cleanse, shedding outdated perspectives and making space for new, self-authored principles to guide his life. This liberation from external dogma is a crucial step towards authentic self-expression and the construction of a life aligned with his unique values and aspirations, rather than societal prescriptions. Stage 5, the people start copying stage. They used to whisper about him, too quiet, too strange, too aloof. Now, the Sigma male feels eyes lingering, voices mimicking his cadence, shadows tracing his steps. His independence, once a quirk, becomes a magnet. They ape his swagger, steal his lines, even copy the way he stands apart. It's not subtle, they want the aura he's forged, the effortless power that rolls off him like thunder. But he sees the cracks, their imitation is skin deep, a costume without the soul. He doesn't gloat or scold, he just keeps moving. They can parrot his words, but they'll never grasp the furnace where his resolve was smelted. Every step he takes widens the gap, while they play dress up, he's scaling new peaks, refining what they can only mimic. It's almost funny, their flattery proves his point, true freedom can't be borrowed. They chase his shadow, but he's already in the light, untouched by their shallow game. This stage reveals the chasm between acting free and being free. The Sigma male thrives in the irony. Their copying crowns him king of his own path, a silent testament to the rarity of his journey. He doesn't need their applause, he's too busy evolving, leaving them scrambling to decode a map he burned long ago. Let them try, they'll tire before they touch the core. This is his quiet triumph, not in their failure, but in his refusal to stall. The world can mirror his reflection, but the source stays his alone. The stage where people start copying is a fascinating and often surreal experience for the Sigma male. It marks a significant shift in how he is perceived by society, from an outlier to an archetype, from misunderstood to emulated. This imitation, however, is usually focused on surface-level attributes, his style of communication, his demeanor, perhaps even his lifestyle choices. What imitators often fail to grasp is the depth of introspection, the arduous internal work, and the unique personal journey that underpin these external manifestations of his Sigma nature. They see the result, the outward confidence and independence, but not the process, the years of self-discovery and boundary setting that forged it. This phase serves as an unintended validation of the Sigma male's path, confirming that his authentic self, once viewed as unconventional or even undesirable, now holds a certain allure. It's a testament to the power of authenticity and self-reliance in a world often obsessed with conformity and external validation. However, the Sigma male remains largely unfazed by this attention. He understands that imitation, without genuine understanding and internal transformation, is ultimately superficial. His focus remains firmly on his own continued evolution, secure in the knowledge that his true essence is beyond replication and that genuine self-mastery cannot be achieved through mimicry. Stage 6, the "why do I even bother" phase. The Sigma male stands in the storm of a screaming world, petty squabbles, hollow trends, endless chatter, and feels the weight of it all. It's exhausting, suffocating, a circus of noise that drowns out reason. He's danced this dance, nodded at the right times, played the part, but now the mask slips, and a question burns: why am I here? The shallow games, the fake smiles, the relentless clamor, it's a machine he no longer feeds. He's done pretending, done caring, done wasting breath on a stage that's beneath him. So, he retreats, not out of defeat, but disgust. Isolation calls like an old friend, offering silence where the world offers chaos. He shuts the door, tunes out the static, and reclaims his space. This isn't running, it's refining. He sifts through life's debris, keeping only what fuels him, ideas, purpose, peace, and discards the rest like ash. The world bangs on his walls, demanding he return, but he's already shifted. Engagement becomes a choice, not a chore, reserved for moments that matter and people who earn it. The shift is seismic. He emerges leaner, meaner, a man who's rewritten his contract with existence. Interaction is now a privilege he grants, not a burden he bears. The noise still rages outside, but he's a fortress, calm, centered, untouchable. This phase isn't retreat, it's revolution. He's not hiding from life, he's curating it, sculpting a reality where peace reigns supreme. The Sigma male doesn't bother anymore, he builds. The "why do I even bother" phase is a moment of profound existential questioning for the Sigma male. It's a point where the superficiality and often senseless nature of societal interactions and expectations become overwhelmingly apparent. The constant noise, the manufactured dramas, the endless pursuit of fleeting trends, it all starts to feel like a draining and ultimately meaningless charade. He experiences a sense of disillusionment, a recognition that participating in these activities is not only unfulfilling but actively detracts from his energy and focus on what he deems truly important. In response to this existential fatigue, the Sigma male instinctively seeks refuge in solitude, not as an escape from life, but as a deliberate recalibration of his engagement with it. This retreat is a strategic move to filter out the extraneous noise and reconnect with his core values and priorities. It's a time for deep introspection, for reassessing his commitments, and for consciously choosing where and how he invests his energy. This phase is not characterized by apathy or resignation, but rather by a powerful redirection of focus, from external distractions to internal alignment and purposeful action, allowing him to rebuild his life on a foundation of intentionality and peace. If this journey's hitting home, you're in the right place. This is the heartbeat of the Sigma male community. We're a tribe that's weathered the same storm, felt the pull to retreat, and emerged sharper. Stage 6 strips us bare, forcing us to question the noise and find our truth. Here, we turn frustration into fuel, chaos into clarity. This is more than a channel, it's a brotherhood for those who refuse to play by someone else's rules, who choose peace over pandemonium, and who build lives that echo their deepest truths. Stick with us, the path only gets sharper. This break isn't a pause, it's a power-up. The Sigma male community is your pit stop to recharge, reflect, and connect with the lone wolves, the quiet rebels, the destiny sculptors. Stage 7 is where your silence becomes a roar, and your presence commands the room. We're unpacking every step of this wild ride, so lock in your spot in the pack, hit subscribe and join us. Being a Sigma isn't just about going solo, it's about owning who you are, unapologetically, with a crew that's got your back. Let's keep climbing together. Stage 7, the unintentional intimidation phase. He doesn't raise his voice or flex his fists, but the Sigma male shifts the air when he enters. His stillness is a spotlight, calm, piercing, unyielding, and it makes people fidget. They're used to noise, to jostling for rank, to begging for nods of approval. He gives none of that. He watches, listens, exists, and that's enough to rattle them. They mutter, "What's his deal? Why's he so quiet?" His refusal to perform, to grovel, to fill the void with fluff, it's a mirror they can't face. At first, he dims himself, softens the edges to ease their nerves. But why? Their discomfort isn't his burden. He lets his intensity bloom, eyes that see too much, words that cut too deep, a presence that demands no permission. They squirm, project, accuse him of arrogance, but he knows the truth, they're scared of what he reflects. Their need for validation is a chain he snapped long ago, and his freedom stings them like salt in a wound. He's not trying to intimidate, he just is. This stage crowns him untouchable. The Sigma male owns his gravity, letting the insecure scatter or adapt. He's not here to soothe egos or play small, he's here to be real, and that's a force few can handle. His authenticity is a blade, slicing through pretense without effort. They'll call him cold, distant, threatening, but he shrugs. Their fear is their mirror, not his. In a world of masks, his bare face is the threat, and he wears it like armor. The unintentional intimidation phase emerges as a natural byproduct of the Sigma male's journey towards self-mastery and authenticity. It's not a deliberate tactic to dominate or control others, but rather an unintended consequence of his inner strength and unwavering self-possession. His quiet confidence, his measured responses, and his evident lack of need for external validation create a stark contrast to the often performative and approval-seeking behaviors of those around him. This contrast can be unsettling for individuals accustomed to social hierarchies and the subtle power dynamics of everyday interactions. This stage highlights the power of simply being authentic in a world that often rewards conformity and superficiality. The Sigma male's presence becomes a silent challenge to the status quo, a living embodiment of a different way of being, one rooted in self-reliance and inner conviction. The intimidation experienced by others is not a reflection of malice or aggression on his part, but rather a manifestation of their own insecurities and their discomfort with a presence that operates outside the conventional rules of social engagement. He becomes, inadvertently, a mirror reflecting back the anxieties and vulnerabilities of those who encounter him, simply by being true to himself. Stage 8, the transformation of loneliness into power. Loneliness once clawed at the Sigma male like a beast, nights spent wondering why he stood apart, why the crowd's warmth eluded him. He envied their easy chatter, their shared laughter, until envy turned to clarity. Their noise was weakness, not strength. Alone, he finds a forge where others find a void. While they cling to distractions, he crafts himself, honing skills, wrestling doubts, building a mind that bends to no one. Solitude isn't punishment, it's his proving ground, a crucible where he turns isolation into iron. The shift is alchemy. He stops begging for company and starts commanding it. Loneliness becomes his weapon, a space where he sharpens his edges while others dull theirs in the herd. Every book he reads, every failure he dissects, every quiet victory he claims, it stacks into a tower of power they can't touch. When he steps among them, they feel it, not arrogance, but depth, a presence carved from years of standing alone. He's not loud, but he's deafening, not showy, but undeniable. This transformation is his coronation. The Sigma male doesn't just survive solitude, he conquers it, turning a curse into a throne. He's learned that true strength doesn't need a crowd, it thrives in the dark, blooming where no one watches. Loneliness made him a king, not of people, but of himself. Now, when he chooses to connect, it's not out of hunger but choice, a gift he offers, not a plea he makes. This stage is his proof, alone isn't weak, it's invincible. The transformation of loneliness into power is the alchemical turning point in the Sigma male's journey, where a perceived weakness is transmuted into a formidable strength. What began as a painful sense of isolation, a feeling of being on the periphery, evolves into a deliberate and empowering choice. He stops viewing solitude as a deficiency or a social failing and starts to recognize it as a fertile ground for self-cultivation and inner growth. This is not about romanticizing loneliness but about strategically leveraging the quiet and space it provides to nurture his mind, develop his skills, and fortify his resolve. This phase is characterized by a conscious reframing of isolation from a negative experience to a positive tool for self-improvement. The Sigma male learns to harness the power of solitude for deep work, focused learning, and uninhibited self-reflection, activities that are often hindered by the distractions and demands of constant social interaction. He understands that true independence is not just about being alone but about being self-sufficient, both emotionally and intellectually. By mastering solitude, he unlocks a reservoir of inner strength and becomes truly sovereign, capable of thriving regardless of external validation or social belonging. Stage 9, the zero-tolerance policy implementation. The Sigma male reaches a breaking point, not of anger, but of resolve. He's tired of the leeches, the time thieves, the chaos peddlers who litter his path. No more half measures, no more maybe next time. He swings the axe. Energy vampires vanish with a word, petty dramas die with a glance. He's ruthless, not reckless, slicing away anything that muddies his waters. This isn't a tantrum, it's a cleansing, a vow to guard his peace like a fortress. They call him brutal, too harsh, too rigid, but his past caring. Patience was a gift they squandered, and he's done playing savior to the unworthy. His life sharpens into focus, every minute, every thought, every connection must serve his ascent or it's gone. Distractions evaporate, obligations crumble, and his world becomes a sleek, streamlined machine. He's not cold, he's precise, a surgeon of his own existence, cutting fat to let muscle grow. The labels sting less than the clarity feels good. What's left is a masterpiece of intent. The Sigma male moves like a predator now, lean, lethal, locked on his prey, growth. His boundaries are steel, his time sacred, his energy a currency he spends only on what builds him. Others flounder in the mess he's shed, but he's free to chase what matters, free to breathe without the weight of nonsense. This stage is his line in the sand, cross it, and you're out. He's not here to tolerate, he's here to triumph. That zero-tolerance policy implementation stage represents the Sigma male's unwavering commitment to self-respect and the protection of his mental and emotional space. It's a phase of radical simplification and ruthless efficiency in how he manages his life and relationships. Having undergone significant personal growth and self-awareness, he develops an acute sensitivity to energy drains and time-wasting interactions. He no longer entertains ambiguity or indulges in politeness at the expense of his own well-being. This is not about being callous, but about valuing his resources, time, energy, focus, with utmost seriousness and deploying them strategically. This policy is not applied indiscriminately but is the result of careful discernment and a deep understanding of his own needs and boundaries. The Sigma male becomes highly selective about who and what he allows into his inner circle, prioritizing relationships and activities that are genuinely enriching and contribute to his personal and professional evolution. He is willing to make tough decisions, even if they are perceived as harsh by others, because he recognizes that safeguarding his inner peace and maintaining his trajectory of growth are paramount. This unwavering self-prioritization is a hallmark of his evolved Sigma nature, enabling him to operate with clarity, purpose, and unparalleled effectiveness. Stage 10, the "I don't need closure" moment. The Sigma male once lingered at the edge of old wounds, waiting for solace that never came, for answers to questions no one could answer. He'd replay the betrayals, the silences, the loose ends, as if closure was a prize someone owed him. Then, one day, he snaps awake. Why is he begging for scraps from people too blind to see? He stops waiting, stops chasing, stops needing their permission to move on. Closure isn't their gift, it's his power. With a breath, he writes the ending himself and turns the page. This choice is a thunderclap. Friends expect tears, foes expect grudges, but he gives neither. He lets go, not with fanfare, but with quiet steel, leaving resentment in the dust. Emotional independence becomes his shield. He doesn't need their words to heal, doesn't need their regret to rise. They're stunned, how does he move so fast, but he's already gone, unburdened by their baggage. It's not forgiveness or forgetting, it's claiming the reins of his own story. The payoff is freedom, pure and wild. The Sigma male crafts his peace from the inside out, a sanctuary no one can breach. He's not tethered to their apologies or trapped by their chaos, he's the author, not the victim. This stage is his ultimate flex. He doesn't need their closure because he's complete without it. The past shrinks in his rear view, and the road ahead gleams with possibility. He's not just over it, he's above it, soaring on wings he built himself. The "I don't need closure" moment signifies a profound liberation from the psychological need for external validation and resolution of past hurts. The Sigma male transcends the common human tendency to seek explanations and apologies from those who have caused pain or left loose ends in their relationships. He realizes that waiting for others to provide closure is often a futile and disempowering endeavor, a form of emotional dependency that keeps him tethered to past negativity. This stage is marked by a decisive act of self-sufficiency, where he reclaims his emotional agency and declares himself the sole arbiter of his own emotional well-being. This is not an act of denial or suppression of emotions, but rather a conscious choice to take control of his narrative and create his own sense of completion. The Sigma male understands that true closure is an internal process, not something to be granted or withheld by others. He cultivates an inner resilience that allows him to process past experiences, learn from them, and move forward without being held hostage by unresolved issues or the actions of others. This self-determined closure becomes a powerful source of personal freedom, enabling him to live fully in the present and to shape his future unburdened by the weight of the past. Stage 11, Owning Who You Are, Final Evolution. After the fires, the unlearning, the solitary climbs, the Sigma male stands tall, not taller than others, but truer to himself. He shed every skin that didn't fit, every chain that held him, every lie he was sold. Conformity? A relic. Validation? A drug he quit cold. He's a walking defiance, a man who doesn't bend, doesn't break, doesn't beg. This is his final form, raw, real, and relentless, owning every scar, every quirk, every step that brought him here. He moves like a storm now, quiet until it hits, unstoppable when it does. The world can love him, hate him, copy him, it doesn't matter. He's indifferent to their noise, immune to their pull, a force that carves its own path through stone. Some see a loner, others a legend, but he sees neither, just a man who answered his own call. He evolves in silence, dropping ripples that turn to waves, shifting the ground beneath those too slow to notice. This isn't arrogance, it's certainty, forged in the crucible of his journey. This stage is his anthem, his legacy, his crown. The Sigma male doesn't shout his triumph, he lives it, a beacon for those brave enough to see. He's not here to fit in or stand out, he's here to be, unshackled and infinite. The chaos spins around him, but he's the eye, the calm, the core. He keeps growing, keeps pushing, keeps owning who he is, a man unbound, a soul unbowed, a life untamed. In a world of echoes, he's the original sound. Owning Who You Are, Final Evolution, is the culmination of the Sigma male's transformative journey, a state of being characterized by complete self-acceptance, unwavering self-reliance, and profound inner peace. He has navigated the trials and tribulations of self-discovery, shedding layers of societal conditioning and external expectations to reveal his authentic core. This final stage is not about achieving perfection or reaching a static endpoint, but rather about embracing his individuality in its entirety, flaws and strengths alike. He has arrived at a place of unshakable self-knowledge and operates from a position of intrinsic confidence, no longer seeking external validation or defining himself in relation to societal norms. In this evolved state, the Sigma male embodies a quiet power and an undeniable presence that emanates from his deep sense of self-mastery. He is no longer driven by the need to prove himself or to conform to any external standard. His actions are guided by his internal compass, and his life is a reflection of his deeply held values and principles. He becomes a beacon of authenticity, inspiring others not through overt displays of dominance or achievement, but through the quiet strength and unwavering integrity of his being. He stands as a testament to the transformative power of self-acceptance and the profound freedom that comes from truly owning who you are. As we conclude this exploration into the essence of the Sigma male, let us pause and truly consider the terrain we have traversed. This has been more than a mere categorization of personality, it has been an examination of a life philosophy, a distinct mode of navigating existence that stands apart from the conventional currents of society. The Sigma male, in his essence, is not defined by adherence to external dictates or the ephemeral approval of the masses. He embodies a spirit that ventures beyond the well-trodden paths, a mind that observes the world with a discerning gaze, questioning the very premises upon which societal expectations are constructed. Why, indeed, should one simply follow, when the capacity for self-governance, for internal leadership, resides within? This journey, then, is not about outward fanfare or clamorous display. It is marked by an inner, unwavering fortitude, a strength that resonates not through volume, but through its undeniable presence. What fundamentally distinguishes the Sigma male is a profound resistance to the external pressures that mold and direct the lives of so many. He is not captivated by the fleeting allure of external validation, nor does he permit his intrinsic worth to be dictated by the fluctuating opinions of others. Instead, he embarks on an inward voyage, constructing a bedrock of self-reliance that is as unyielding as tempered steel. He perceives with clarity the illusions that often ensnare, the relentless pursuit of superficial status, the seductive ease of conformity, the deceptive promise that contentment lies in mirroring the collective. For him, life transcends the act of fitting neatly into pre-established societal forms. It is about dismantling those very forms and forging something entirely original, something authentic to his deepest self, something that is his and his alone to define and cultivate. He understands that true value is not bestowed by external sources, but cultivated from within, through reasoned action and virtuous character. However, let us not paint an idealized picture of effortless ascension. This chosen path is not a leisurely stroll through manicured gardens. It is a rigorous ascent across uneven ground, fraught with challenges that the majority will thankfully never encounter. There is the inherent solitude, the necessary isolation that accompanies a conscious divergence from the collective, moments when this chosen autonomy may feel less like empowerment and more like a palpable weight, pressing upon the spirit. There are the inevitable misunderstandings, the oblique glances and veiled judgments from a world conditioned to categorize and comprehend through established norms, a world often perplexed by those who operate outside its prescribed boundaries. The Sigma male is intimately acquainted with standing solitary, with experiencing the sharp edge of being perceived as an outlier, with grappling with internal doubts during the silent watches of the night, absent the comforting chorus of external reassurance. And yet, he perseveres. What compels such persistent forward motion? It is because, beyond the trials and tribulations, there exists a reward of inestimable value. That reward is not a transient pleasure, but a deeply ingrained freedom, not the superficial liberty that is granted and rescinded by external forces, but a profound, enduring freedom that permeates the very core of one's being. It is the liberation of commencing each day knowing one is acting in alignment with one's own reasoned principles, not in subservience to another's agenda or expectations. It is the tranquility of confronting one's reflection and recognizing an individual of self-authorship, not a mere instrument performing on society's stage, but an autonomous entity, shaped by deliberate choices and inner discipline. This is a triumph that seeks no public acknowledgement, requires no external accolades, for its true recompense is found in the very act of living it, in the integrity of its embodiment. Every step taken beyond the dictated lines, every decision born from considered judgment rather than popular sentiment, constructs a life that is authentically grounded, intrinsically meaningful, and resilient against the capricious winds of external circumstance. This is the freedom to live virtuously, according to one's own reasoned understanding of the good, unburdened by the expectations and judgments of others. So, where does this leave you, the individual engaging with these words now? Perhaps a resonance stirs within you, a subtle yet persistent inclination, a quiet voice within suggesting that life extends beyond the prescribed limits of conventional existence. Perhaps you have questioned the inherent validity of established norms, sensed a yearning for liberation, contemplated the possibility of ceasing participation in another's predetermined course and instead forging your own unique trajectory. If this resonates, then you are already closer to the Sigma ethos than you might presently realize. This is not about affixing a label, but about acknowledging a fundamental truth, that within you resides the inherent capacity to define your own world, to strip away the superfluous noise of external influence, and to discern what is genuinely, intrinsically real and valuable. This is not merely about individuality, but about aligning oneself with virtue and reason. And consider this, you are not obligated to navigate this transformative journey in isolation. Herein lies the value of the Sigma male community. We represent a growing collective of individuals who comprehend this very inclination, who have experienced that same internal tug, confronted similar shadows, and emerged with strengthened resolve. This shared space is dedicated to a deeper exploration of what it means to embody the Sigma ethos, to refine one's intellect, to cultivate strength in solitude, to construct a life that is genuinely, undeniably one's own. It is a collective endeavor rooted in reclaiming personal agency, in transcending externally imposed limitations, in discovering the profound extent of one's capabilities when one ceases to be bound by the reins of external control. This community offers not validation seeking, but a shared pursuit of self-mastery and virtuous living. We are committed to this journey for the long term, and we extend an invitation for you to join us. Engage with the Sigma male community, participate in the discourse, and let us collectively advance along this path. Share your reflections in the comments, your personal challenges, your hard-earned victories, your insightful inquiries, for each contribution strengthens the whole. This is not merely a digital platform, it is a call to something more substantial, an opportunity to connect with others who perceive the world through a similar lens of independent thought and self-directed purpose. It is a space for mutual encouragement and the sharing of reasoned insights, promoting virtuous growth together. Before you conclude this reflection, let this final thought resonate within you. Life presents us all with a map, a seemingly secure route, the path most frequently traveled. Yet, maps are merely representations on paper, and paths are simply demarcations upon the earth. You possess the option to passively follow lines drawn by others, or you can seize a torch and illuminate your own way forward. The Sigma path, characterized by self-reliance and inner virtue, is not devoid of challenges, but it is authentic, and it awaits any individual possessing the courage to embark upon it. Therefore, the question remains, will you continue to conform to the rhythm of the crowd, or will you begin to walk to the cadence of your own internal compass, guided by reason and integrity? The choice is yours, as it has always been. Welcome to the Sigma male community, where the journey of self-discovery and virtuous living does not conclude, but truly commences.